All right, guys, so we are on, bless you, by the way, we are on the final page of the study guide for the midterm that we're having tomorrow. And questions 42 through 46 are all 3x3 systems. So let's just do one of them. They're all done the same. I want to purposely do number 44, which I really struggled with. I tried to do it on Friday, and I was doing it at a moment where it was busy, so I wasn't able to concentrate, and I was going too quickly, so I made a lot of mistakes, right? So let's go through this nice and slow, and maybe we should start up some notes to ourselves that'll help us on these complicated multi-step problems. So I recommend, if you're struggling with this, you need to just be a little more organized. So I recommend labeling your equations 1, 2, and 3. Okay, just label them first. That way, when you start working away from the system, you could actually put the number 1 circled, and you'll know that we're talking about the first equation, or the number 3 circled, and you'll know that we're talking about the third equation. So anyway, we first need to decide what we want to cancel, x's, y's, or z's. So what do you guys say? Z's look the best. Now, why is that? Because like if you wanted to cancel out x's, well, you'd have to modify this to a 6 and this to a -6, and then that 5, they just don't work good together. Neither do the y's, but the z's work best because -1 could be changed to a -2, which will cancel, and it could also be changed to a +5, which will cancel. So z's are your best option. The other ones could work, but z's are the best. So how are we going to get z's to cancel?
Multiply the first one.
Multiply the first one by what?
Oh no. The bottom one by 2.
Multiply number 3 by 2, and then combine it with number 2, right? So since we are working right next to this system, you don't have to do notes, but I might as well do notes just to show you what I'm talking about. So if I want to just rewrite number 2, I want to put the number 2 right there and an arrow right there just to show that I'm rewriting it. And also different colored pens help. If I just rewrite an equation, I usually rewrite it in black. I mean, that's just for me. I don't know. It's up to you guys. If you have different colored pens, go for it. And we are going to multiply number 3, equation number 3 by what? 2. By 2. So let's write that out just so we could see the notes that I'm talking about. 3, put times 2, and then a little arrow. That way we know that we're actually taking the third equation and multiplying it by 2. And if we actually go through each one, -5 times 2, that'll be a -10 with an x. 3 times 2, that's going to be 6. +6 with the y. And then -1 times 2, it's going to be a -2 with the z. Equal sign. And then -17 times 2 is 34, and it's negative. So these are the notes that I'm talking about that might help you from making mistakes, right? That way you could keep track of what's going on. Oh, I wrote down a 2 with the arrow. That just means I rewrote number 2. Equation number 2. I got number 3 and I multiplied it by 2. Oh, that's the modification I'm doing in number 3. I'm multiplying everything by 2. All right, so anyway, whenever I do combine lines and eliminate, I usually switch to a different color. And normally on my videos, I switch to the color blue. I am eliminating the z's. -3 minus 10. If you don't know, use a calculator. That'll be -13x. 5 plus 6y, that's 11y. Bring down the equal sign, and -27 and -34. That's -50, 61, correct? -61. And once I get my new equation, I box that in, and I actually label it new equation number 1 up here. That's step 1 right there, guys. Step 1. Step 1 is to cancel something out, and as you can see, we canceled out the z's. And how do we do that? Well, we used equation 2, and we took equation 3 and multiplied it by 2. We got the z's to cancel. There's my new equation. Step 2 is to use the equation we have not used. Which one have we not used? Number 1. So I would actually write down number 1, and that's just letting me know that I'm going to rewrite that top equation exactly the way it is. Okay? So again, the goal for step 2 is to get the same variable to cancel using the equation we haven't used. So here's my equation we haven't used. And we also want this z's to cancel here. I do not want this -5z. So I need to make this -5z disappear with a +5z. So which one is easier to turn to a +5z? This -z, right? So we're going to take the third equation, and what are we going to do to it? multiply it by -5. That's right. So over here, the little notes to myself are going to be take number 3 and multiply it by -5. That way it'll give me, and now I'm actually going to multiply everything by -5. Okay, so -5 times -5, that's positive 25. Of course, with an x. Go to this one, multiply 3 times -5, that's -15 with the y. -1 times -5 is positive 5 with the z. And -17 times -5, that's going to be a positive 85, positive 85. And of course, use a calculator so you don't make any simple mistakes there. But now we are able to combine the lines and eliminate. Okay, and again, just to let you know, the way I keep myself organized is if I ever rewrite an equation, I rewrite it in black because it originally started in black. I just rewrite it in black. Over here, I rewrote it. It's in black. If I modify something, I usually switch it to a different color. And whenever I do combine lines, I usually use the color blue. And this is just for me, okay? But it works for me, so it might work for you if you guys have different colored pens and it helps you out. So I'm going to eliminate the z's, and 25 plus 2 is 27 x's. -15 plus 4, that's -11 with the y's. And then 18 plus 85, that's 13, that's 103. Wow, that's really ugly. But who cares? Let's move forward. This is new equation number 2, NE number 2. And ladies and gentlemen, this was step 2. Okay, so step 3 is to create your new 2x2 system. So you might want to just come up here to this area up here and rewrite these 2 blue new equations. So let me do that. We have the, I'm just gonna, there they are. Okay, so this is my step 3 to create a new 2x2 system. And again, all I did was rewrite this one and this one together as a 2x2 system. And I'm seeing that the 11s end up eliminating. That's perfect, right? So step 3 is to create your new 2x2 system and solve it, okay? So what does that mean? We're gonna solve this 2x2 system by combining, eliminating, and -13 plus 27 is 15? No. 14. 15. 14? 14x. And again, use a calculator so you don't make simple mistakes. How about -61 plus 103? That's 42? 42. Okay. Final step would be to divide by 14. Divide by 14. And we get x equaling 3. So that's one answer. Now this is where students get confused. They think, or I see some students make the mistake of taking the 3 and plugging it in over here into the x's, but then they get stuck because they have 2 more variables. Remember, step 3 was to create your new 2x2 system and solve it. So ignore everything else. You need to solve this guy. So you have one answer to this guy. You need the other answer to this guy, right? So how do we find the other answer? By plugging it in, x. So take that 3, plug in right there into the x. So let's rewrite. Again, we're just focusing on this new 2x2 system. So I'm going to rewrite this top equation, -13 times x plus 11y equals -61. That x value is 3. So we really have a -39 plus 11y equals -61. And to get y by itself, we add 39. Add 39. We'll have 11y equaling, calculator time, -22. Thank God, it works out nicely. Divide by 11. Divide by 11. Y equals -2. So we have 2 answers so far. We have x equals 3, y equals -2. And again, we got these 2 answers from solving our new 2x2 system. Okay, so create your new 2x2 system and solve it, giving you 2 answers. Now, at the very end that you have your 2 answers, you go back to any original 3 variable equation, plug in your x, plug in your y, and then you could solve for z. Okay, so I want to do that with the top one, with number 1. I know there's not much space on this paper, I apologize, but on number 1, it says 2x plus 4y minus 5z equals 18. And again, notice the circled one, just so if I ever want to go back and check my work, I'll know what this is. Oh, that's equation 1. I just copied it over, and I'm plugging in the 3 for x and the negative 2 for y. So the 3 for x goes right in there, and the negative 2 for y goes right in there. Now I just need to do the math. 2 times 3 is 6, so that's really a 6. 4 times negative 2 is minus 8, and then minus 5z equals 18. So when I combine 6 and negative 8 in my head, that's just negative 2 minus 5z equals 18. Add 2 to both sides, plus 2, we end up with negative 5z equaling 20. So you divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. Final answer is z equals negative 4. Okay, so the answer should be written as an ordered triple, bless you. So the ordered triple answer, in parentheses, should be in alphabetical order. X is 3, y is negative 2, z is negative 4. That is a lot of work. There's a lot of opportunities for mistakes, right? We're doing like 100 different little math problems. Multiplication, adding, subtracting, modifying, distributing. There's all kinds of math going on these problems. All you got to do is be very careful and as neat as possible, and I would label my steps as well. Again, step 1 is to get a variable to cancel. Step 2, use the equation you have not used and get the same variable to cancel. Step 3, get both of those equations, this one, and create a new 2x2 system right here. And then you solve it. So you get 2 answers for this 2x2 system, and then you take your 2 answers and plug them in to the original, which is right here, to get your 3rd answer. Okay. Now, if at any point you are working on this, and let's say you're trying to cancel out z's the way we did here, but let's say everything cancels out on this side, and you have a number over here, you have like 0 equals negative 61, you could just stop your problem and say no solution. If it's something impossible like 0 equals negative 61. Or let's say everything canceled out. Let's say this was 0 and this also canceled out and became 0. Then you'd have something that's always true, and you would say infinitely many solutions. So those will happen on one or two of these, where you have those special cases on this review. But that's about it. The answers are posted on the wall back there, and they will also be uploaded to Edmodo. Tomorrow's a midterm. Good luck, guys. Study hard.